Today, we explore Astro Fractals, beautiful, colorful images representing you in fractal form. It's all based on your birth info. You're going to love this stuff. Hey, it's Cheryl Sitz here with another episode of Exploring Possibilities, broadcasting our entire history of shows through journeyofpossibilities.com, and now also published through Apple Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Castbox FM, and youtube.com/Cheryl Sitz. Today, we'll find out what show founder Mario Rosales has been up to, Astro Fractals for one, an Awakening Men podcast, and more. But first, I just want to remind you that before he was doing all these cool things, Mario is a genius with all things technology. And let's face it, even though we in this niche don't always like to make a big roar, sometimes we need to make little nudges to get our message out to a bigger audience. He got me doing this show, the journeyofpossibilities.com website, on YouTube, and a lot more. And he can help you too, wherever you're at in that journey. So don't hesitate to reach out to him about that. I know we're not going to talk much about that today, but I didn't want to let the opportunity slip to mention how fabulous he can be as a consultant for you, and affordable too. So do reach out. So if you've listened to this show for very long, you know that he helped me create all of this stuff. He's a whiz at IT, and that makes him a pretty neat guy to know already. But then, wow, has he taken off. He created a Tech Life Balance website, which features his Awakening Men podcast, another new product he's launched. He offers coaching, leads drumming circles, plays various instruments for sound immersion and healing, like the jaw harp and the didgeridoo. He gives rune readings, does energy work, and now there's these cool Astro Fractals. His website is mariorosales.com. You're a busy guy, Mario. Thanks for taking the afternoon to join us.
That is the IT way and everything else. With all the, you get me tired just listening to that list.
Well, you pretty much go, go, go. It's interesting that you have created another platform to help people balance the go, go, go that is the way of our world today with slowing down and going within, which is so important.
Yeah, technology seems to be a big proponent of what's going on this time around in this generation, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it helps having a resource where to go for techlifebalance.net and just reading some of the articles there. And some of it is humorous. Some of it, it's information, and some of the articles I posted on your previous digital magazine too.
You did. You've been helping with a lot of projects with journeyofpossibilities.com, and I'm so glad that you've launched into a lot of your own things. So talk a little more about the Awakening Men podcast, because that's an interesting thing you've begun.
Yeah, the Awakening Men podcast came from an idea between myself and Daniel. We were talking about trying to get a message out for men, awaken men. There's all these different types of podcasts, but there's never just one having a conversation. And it felt this time around we needed to do something like that. And with him, he's a little bit younger than I am, but he is also a life coach like I'm also. And together we just, it's interesting, our energy mix, and we make it just about a conversation. It's never scripted, and it's always just seeing what comes up. And that's the beauty of it, because it's always relating to whatever we're going through in our lives or whatever we're feeling. So sometimes we bring up topics, and sometimes I get surprised at what comes out.
One great thing about that is, as the energies are shifting, you guys are talking about what's coming up for you, and you're a microcosm for the macrocosm. Not that we're all the same, but in another sense, we are all the same. Mm-hmm. So the things that we're feeling pulled toward, and the tensions that we're feeling, and the situations that are arising tend to have similar threads when we carry it out into a bigger realm. And the nice thing is that you're giving men who are awakening and may not feel like they have that support, or they may feel like they're alone, a place that they can go and listen to a couple of other awakening guys just chat about it. And I find it real refreshing. I'm not an awakening man, so it's not exactly for me, but our audience does have some men in it, and we have a lot of women who may have partners that would really enjoy hearing that. So I wanted you to share that so our audience could check it out.
Yeah, and right now the mainstream is on Awaken Men if you go to YouTube, just look for the Awaken Men podcast. We're working on the website also, and another one of those projects I have to add to my. So there's a lot, but eventually that's the video. So you'll see Daniel and I talking on the website. We'll have the video, and we'll also have the audio part of it. So that'll be really nice for us mobile users that go all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, because some things that are just on YouTube, I find myself trying to listen to the YouTube in my car and the signal breaks.
Yep.
And so it'll be nice to have both platforms. Well, great. It's nice to see you rolling your voice out on the very platforms you've kind of pulled me kicking and screaming to get onto.
It's taking some time, but some of the things I'm a very patient person, and things just take some time. It's like I go with the flow that I create. So and sometimes the flow takes me in different directions that I don't expect. So
yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
Well, it's really taken off this year. So you've been doing the Awakening Men podcast longer than this year, but it seems like it's starting to get some traction now, and you guys are starting to really relax into the joy of creating the show together. You have a few under your belt now, so the synergy is really awesome. And then there's this Astro Fractal thing. These are cool looking.
The Astro Fractals, those are kind of interesting. And I've been working on it for 5 years, and it kind of accumulated little by little. I felt I had to do something with fractals. And I didn't know what it was, so I just started looking at programs. And I've been looking at them for 5 years. And finally, like mid-year last year, I found a program that is, I think this is it. And then, so it's like, well, what the hell am I going to do with it? It's like, so I sat in meditation, and then I had this formula come to me, and I said, all right, let me do that. And I put it into the program, and luckily that program allowed me to put the formula in. And then, well, what kind of numbers do I use? It's like, well, astrology uses birth dates and that kind of stuff. So I went ahead and put that, and lo and behold, something that came to me in meditation worked. And it creates these beautiful things. And from there, I thought, well, maybe it's just pure coincidence. So I started trying to put other numbers besides birth dates, and the formula doesn't work. So it's kind of cool that this came in meditation. It came in, we always talk about things that come in meditation, and that was just kind of cool to see that.
Yes. Well, it also sounds overly simplified when you describe it. And I have watched you scribbling on paper long math formulas that brought back my PTSD from high school, from classes I didn't do so great in. And you just with the pencil and the paper and notes everywhere. So that wasn't exactly you put a couple of numbers in the computer. You did a lot of research and manual work to prepare what was going to go into this.
Yeah, that was the funny part. It's like I had to actually relearn some of the math I had forgotten. So some of it is algebra in there, and I work with quadratic formulas, and so I use your numbers, and I put it in this these formulas that I got. And originally I was doing them by paper, so I was calculating little by little, and finally it's like, and once again it took me 5 years to find this program, and in this program I could program it. So it's like I got into the programming, so then I programmed it. And so things are evolving as they still are.
Yes. And it really is using all of you, because your IT skills with what you're doing with the program, and your math skills, and your spirituality, and we always say when all else fails, meditate. Yep. Or if you think of it sooner, do it then, right?
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. Well, I have watched you create some of these, and they are very different. The one that is on the image that is published on this show is actually you, right?
Yes, that's my birthday, August 10th, 1972 at 3:10 p.m.
So that's you in astral fractal form.
Yes, that's me. Yeah, and when I started showing up to different people, everybody saw the images, but the other part that I want to add on is that there's going to be readings to these too, but like everything, I'm having to learn how to read it because it's such a new thing, and that I know of nobody does anything like this. So I'm having to sit in meditation with a lot of them and kind of go, it's like, okay, what is this fractal doing? But, but people were liking the images.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's like, I can't hold it off anymore. I already presented to a lot of people, so I just go ahead and launch it, and here we are.
So we'll get the Astro Fractal. I keep calling it Astro Fractal. It's Astro Fractal.
Astro like astrology, yes.
We'll get the Astro Fractals now, and then we can come back and get the reading that accompanies those and get some more insight into what comes through those images as you develop that.
That is correct, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, because the images are so cool. And I mean, I even gave it to my mom for one, and I gave it to a friend of ours in Kansas City. And everybody just raves about them. So I figured it's like I'll just do the readings when they come to me.
There's so many layers to this. I mean, at the human level, the eyes enjoy the senses of experiencing the image. So for artwork's sake alone, they're wonderful to have. And then there's going to be a deeper layer to that as you come through with the readings and such.
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of cool because the images, and when you look at the foundational image of the fractal, as the foundational image has certain qualities to it that is universal through people. And this is what I found kind of interesting. And then I added another layer of it. First we start with your day, then your time, then it feels like the name is going to be involved in there somehow too. And as I change them, there will be updates, and if anybody does anything right now, they will get updates because it's so new.
So just to clarify, we can come back and get updated versions, and we can purchase those separately later, and that will be based on how you're doing them at that time. But they're all us. They're just more in-depth versions of us as you go deeper and deeper, kind of like the way we are as humans, right? As we go through time, we evolve and change. These Astro Fractals are going to evolve and change, and we can always come back and see what's new and get that for ourselves too.
Yes. Yeah. I have like a lot of ideas but I got to take one idea at a time because I even thought about doing like a day forecast or a year forecast and seeing what that looks like. So there's those type of ideas that are coming about, and I don't know. We'll see where the world takes it. The energy takes it. I mean,
what a fun way to play with vision. And one thing I've learned from this time on the spiritual journey, really lifetimes on the spiritual journey, all paths lead to the same place. And it's about vibration. So whether we raise our vibration through visual sacred geometry, whether we raise it through sound, whether we raise it through any means, we're still raising our vibration. So I think it's wonderful that we can enjoy it through all of our senses, experience it differently.
Yeah. And that's the beauty about it, because I'm, one of the projects, and this was one of those other projects that I'm working on, doing like animation to zoom into them. And that would be another feature that I sell, the movie fractal of your fractal, because when it gets down to it, the fractal will eventually start repeating patterns. But one of the things I'm discovering when we use your birth date and time, when we zoom in, there's certain aspects that are a little different. And then you zoom in some more and it's a slightly different and even more. But by then, my computer's running really slow.
That was one of the things that I couldn't wait to do, was zoom in. As soon as you pulled up my first Astro Fractal, I went, wow, that looks so cool. Zoom in right over there. And we would zoom and zoom and zoom. And I knew this in my brain, but I got so excited I forgot. It's a fractal, which means it's a repeating pattern. So I don't care how many times you zoom in, you get more of the same. You get nuances that change.
Yes.
But at the core, you get more of the same.
Yeah, and it's funny because that's how humans are. Because originally when I started, I was doubting myself and I was going, well, is it really anything? But then again, I mean, the foundation of who we are is we're human beings. I mean, in this earth, in this lifetime right now. And the fact that we're human beings means that we have commonalities.
Yes.
And that's why I love the fractal, because it represents that with everybody, there's a certain type of thing that looks the same, whether it's the color, slightly off in the coloring or slightly off in the shape or something. But if you really sit down and meditate with it and look at it, it starts changing more and more. You start seeing more nuances. And those are the layers. Like when I showed you yours, we were at the very foundation. I mean, and then you saw the one we took to Kansas City,
Yes.
And it was completely different, and it still had a foundation in there of the one that we started with. And I don't know, it's really exciting to talk about it.
And at the core, it's all math. It's all numbers. It's numerology. It's all numeric, right?
It's all numeric. It's all so first off, I use your birth date and I calculate some numbers out. And then from those numbers, I calculate another number, and your fractal becomes this one long number. And that's your number of the fractal in combination with all of that. And from there, we create the foundational fractal. Then we use the time to create some of the coloring. And then we have another layer in there that we use that it's feeling like that's where going to be where the name is. And then there's another layer on top of that. So, I mean, it grows more and more. And every time I go deeper into it, it's like there's something new that's coming out.
Yeah. And they're all beautiful. Every single one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're colorful. Some of them are very, what I call floaty looking. Some of them are very rough looking. Some of them are very mystical looking. And you just never know. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Just like people, right?
Yep. And just like people. Everybody has a unique footprint, and this is a way to display it. It looks really cool as you start enlarging it, and right now I'm working on trying to see how I can get it on canvas.
Yes.
So I think it'd be nice to have like a big painting in your house and go, look, that's me.
Yeah. Well, and something else that would be fun, we deal with a lot of communities. Can you imagine if the community got one 8x10 for each of their members and had a wall that's the community in fractal form? What a beautiful, colorful mosaic that would be.
Oh, that would be really cool. I didn't think about that. I like that idea.
They're just beautiful. You have to check it out. So one of the things that I'm doing with this show, I've done this before when I had an artist on. We're going to do a video of this show that's going to have some of the astral fractal images in it, so you can get an idea of what these look like. And I'm sure you're going to have more on your website as time goes on, right, Mario?
Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm working towards. Is I'm trying to get them more. I'm trying to find out how to display them on the website, because if I display the low res version, if you click on it and make it bigger, so I'm trying to find a way to make it where you can actually look at it and admire its beauty, and also if you want it to look a little bit deeper. But who knows? Once again, I'm taking baby steps, and we'll start with the simple images, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. And it's depending on what you're viewing it with, too, because this is some really high resolution, detailed, rich, colorful artwork. And the better the monitor or the gadget, electronic device that you look at it through, the sharper the image is going to be. And you've gone through some of that also with producing it as a photograph that you can then sell. So there's a lot of ways to look at this, and we're still working through some of the stuff with it, but it's too beautiful not to share now.
Yeah, and that was a hit from everybody that I got. It's like, wow, this is kind of cool. And everybody was bragging about it. It's like bragging about it even before I was even saying anything about it. So here we are.
And what an excellent gift idea. So, we've got the holidays coming up. That person, you have no idea what to get them because they've got everything. I promise you they don't have an image of themselves as a fractal yet.
No, I haven't seen that at all.
Wonderful. Well, I have a feeling you're going to be really busy with those. So tell me more about what else you're up to. Tell me about the sound work that you're doing.
So the sound work is interesting because that I cannot believe I still cannot say the word, the didgeridoo. I call it the
Didgeridoo.
There you go. That. It's like for whatever reason that's not in my vocabulary, so I just say didge. So the didge is turning out to be one of my favorite instruments, and that one seems to move a lot of stuck energy. When I'm doing some drumming with people or doing some coaching with them, I bring some instruments out if necessary, or if I feel guided to, or if they just want to feel what it's like, because it does help move that energy. And there's a lot of science behind it where the vibration and staying at a certain frequency. So that's the didge. The drumming, I do drumming journeys, And drumming journeys, I mean, there's actually scientific fact that says if you beat the drum 180 beats per minute, you get into the theta state. And if you do it for about an hour, it gets you into a very mystical place, what I call the subconscious, the theta state. And when you do that, it really does some wonders for you, and it opens you up in a way that can't be done unless you're using, like deeper, like plant medicine or things like that. But this is a natural way. No drugs needed, no plant medicine needed, nothing needed.
Like breath work, yeah.
Yeah. And I was going to say breath work does the same thing. So there's a lot of options like that we can use through the coaching. The jaw harp is the other one. The jaw harp was kind of interesting because that actually got outlawed during the Stalin times, where the shamans weren't allowed to use that because it would take people into their own thing. And, you do hear about them in different types of music. And if you hear one, you're going to start realizing that jaw harp sounds are all over the place.
They're in a lot of popular songs, and we just never knew that's what that was. I remember being with you in the car one day, and you said, there it is. That's the jaw harp.
Yeah, I started getting surprised once I started playing it. I was going, it's like, wow, there it is. Oh, wow, there it is. Oh, there it is. It's like, so, okay. And that's cool.
Well, I actually experienced in a ceremony with you where you picked it up and started playing it. And it's amazing how sound moves energy. Whether in ceremony, in life, in whatever, we get stuck in places. Energy gets stuck in our body. We get stuck in thought patterns that repeat. And it can almost be annoying if we're trying to focus on something and that's going on in the background. It almost comes through as an annoyance, but that almost chiseling away at the pattern breaks it.
Yes. Yeah. It's a very powerful.
It is.
The jaw harp is really interesting because you would think nothing of it until you start listening to it.
Yeah.
And depending on the person playing it, and of course it's all done with intention.
Well, I have a surprise for you. I actually snuck these in my pocket, and I hope you don't mind, but we'd love to hear you play the jaw harp here in a second. Would you mind?
No, I love playing the jaw harp. Let's see.
Cool. Let me ask you a question first, though, because I don't want to lose this thought.
All right.
I want to backtrack to the didgeridoo because we kind of flew through that really quickly. Mm-hmm. You have brought that out in several gatherings and played it on parts of the body where someone had pain, or maybe you felt like that's where their energy was stuck. And it really moves people emotionally, physically. It's almost like it goes deep into the body and just blasts that energy loose, right?
Yeah, it's a very powerful instrument. And, there's like the traditional playing of the didge, and then there's what they call the modern version. I do more of the modern. I like the traditional, which is the constant tone that goes, but I'd like to mix it with different beats and just change it depending on what I feel guided to. And I feel that has a little bit more impact on some people because it's not constant. And to me, when you have something at a constant sound, you get numb to it. You get used to it. So I feel that different vibration actually helps in doing all of that much better. And it breaks that energy because it's not something that the body's getting used to. It's like the moment it's getting used to, it gets a different rhythm.
It's like the new way of doing aerobics now where it's intervals because our body was it was kind of outsmarting it and not getting the benefit. So.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, that there is no... There's science in all of this because of the way, if you look at the constant tone and the way the body is, because we're always vibrating. The illusion of our eyes is that we are solid. And in reality, we're just a whole bunch of molecules that are vibrating. Our brain just has made it solid for us to make it something that we all understand. So the sound helps in that sense because it's all vibration. So it's like when you're sick, that disease has a certain vibration in your body. And then when it mixes with your original vibration, it creates its own little vibration. So that's where I think the didge is really important, where it gives you that tone or whatever that your body needs to kind of break that stuff up. And it's the low tones, obviously, with the didge. The jaw harps, there's different tones. The one I'm going to play is a Vietnamese jaw harp. And that's more of a higher tone. And it's a different way of being. It's like, it depends what you're looking for. And that's why it's very important to feel guided into what you want to listen. I mean, there's science that you can use for all of this, but one of the things I've learned in my experience is just go with what you feel is right. And that 99% of the time, that is it.
If you're feeling your way there and not thinking your way there. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you're going to play for us. Great.
Yep.
Let's hear what this jaw harp sounds like. As I know for anybody that's wondering, what's a jaw harp? The minute they hear it, they're going to go, oh, yeah, I know that.
Yeah. So I'm going to make like one of the typical sounds. If you watched any Tom and Jerry's or any cartoons, it's like this tone. I'm sure if you hadn't heard that before, it's like, then you haven't been watching any cartoons at all. So you hear. So you hear it, it's a little bit high pitch. So now I'm going to go ahead and play.
Wow. You've gotten really, really good at that. You must practice a lot sitting around, don't you?
Yeah, actually, it's really nice just having the instrument right there and picking it up and just playing with it.
Is it relaxing to play?
Oh, yeah, it is. I mean, it's a rhythmic pattern because I'm just tapping a certain part of it. And that was the Vietnamese one. There's this other one, and it's more of the traditional one. This one, some people are really good with it. I'm semi all right with it, but I'll play a little bit. The reason this one's a little bit harder is because you got to put it between your teeth. And sometimes I get something about metal against the teeth.
And it is. It's like a metal key almost looking, just since you can't see it. It looks like a key shape, and he's actually putting the metal in his mouth to play it between his teeth, right?
Yes.
That was fantastic. It's interesting to me since I've been watching this whole journey for you with the sound instruments, and we were introduced to breath work. And as you've incorporated circular breathing and just some of the things that we've picked up in breath work, it's transformed the way you play these instruments, the didgeridoo and the jaw harp. The breath work is an important part of that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's, the different sounds come into play. Like that deep tone that you hear it's definitely like breathing in. And then some of the tones are based on your tongue. So like this sound, I'm breathing in, and then this one's breathing out. Then I have my tongue at different places. Then you also change your throat. So each one has a different, and it takes some practice because our muscles aren't used to doing that. So that's what took me a while. And then with breath work, that added just a whole nother level because I was getting much better with the breath work. Then my instruments, especially the jaw harp, that one I started making a lot of different sounds. And then the didge, I started making a lot of different sounds also because of the way I was using my breath.
And that feels very different in the body. So I've been to a couple of your sound ceremonies. I've participated in one of them. I like it when I can lay down and play too, because it's really nice to do the sound bath experience where you just lay down and let your body feel the way that these different instruments affect our body. I was thinking this morning about how our culture has really numbed out to the body. If it hurts, we give it pain medicine. If it keeps hurting, we go to the doctor and get shots and get it fixed and get back to work. We don't want to feel our body.
Right.
And that's where 90% of the illness and disease comes from, is not feeling our bodies. And so it's a great way to go to a sound ceremony and lay down or sit down and just let your body feel the instruments and be just aware in your body of where you feel them and how they feel and what gets triggered and emotions come up. And it really is its own experience that's based on the senses, which is such a nice way to experience awakening.
It's like, imagine listening to the bass. I mean, on some songs out there, especially when you hear some of the hip hop music out there, the bass, that bass, just imagine that bass being at a constant tone, and that's the didge, you could say. And of course, if you vary the sound, if you change the frequency, it'll be a different type of vibration that you notice it because it'll feel different on the body. The vibration, if you really pay attention to the vibration of the sound, it's going to feel different on the body. And that's the difference in what it breaks up. Now, there's a couple of things out there where they have about a frequency manual about what frequency does this and frequency does that. I can't remember. It's the German electricity. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, but they have that there.
I wouldn't know it anyway, but we'll go ahead.
I'm trying to remember, but I can't remember what it is. But I'm sure some of the people in the audience would be able to hear that. That would be able to know that. Anyway. So the certain type of frequency breaks up a certain type of disease also. And it's because, once again, it comes back to that whole vibration thing. There's a vibration, and that vibration, depending how it mixes into your body, is what gets broken up. And that's how I believe it works. And then the fractal is also a whole bunch of vibrations when you really look at it.
Exactly. And how neat to put some of the sound together with some of the fractal imagery. And I mean, it really becomes a rich journey when we can blend experiences for different senses, the essential oils and bringing in the fractal art and bringing in sound and maybe introducing and exiting with some of the things that we've learned that we use in our coaching practices around breaking up thought patterns that are self-defeating and recognizing thought patterns that are self-defeating and all of that. So it's a powerful journey, and all of these things have value. Dabble in one or two, or just plunge right in, huh?
Yeah. And that's what I want to do with like the animation ones. I want to add some sound to it. It's like, look at it. And that's why the first step is figuring out how to do the animation. So once I get that, I already have all the rest of it. I have the equipment, obviously. We're talking on it about how to record the music that goes with that.
Yeah.
And it'll be a custom-made thing. And that, I'm really excited about it. But I have to get all these other little things lined up. So because that's going to be an awesome, massive project.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, as you evolve, so is what you're offering evolving. So that's a fun thing to watch as well. I've really enjoyed being on this journey with you from 2009, I guess, when it all started.
Yeah, I guess mid-2008, because that's when the class started.
Yeah, and then 2012 was our big shift, and here we are, and it continues to evolve and grow just like we do. So it's a fun journey to be on together. Well, if they want to work with you, MarioRosales.com is the right place to go?
Yep, MarioRosales.com. They can go to the bottom of that page, or there's a contact form there. Or the contact link also, or they can go to the bottom of the page and there's a contact form there.
And the Awaken Men podcast is on YouTube, that you all record the videos. And where can they find that?
The Awaken Men podcast. We need some more subscribers to get a designated URL. But if you just search for the Awaken Men podcast, you're going to see the Awaken Men. We come up right away. Perfect.
And subscribe so that they can get their name the way they want it, so more people can find it, because it's good content. Daniel McNicholas is just a doll too. I love chatting with him. We've had a show with him, and I'm going to tag that in the comments here as well. And check out the podcast, because they talk about very relevant stuff for today's world, for today's awakening men.
Yeah, and the cool part about it is with him and I, it's like we do kind of bring in the humor of some of the things, because some of this work can be very, very stressful because it's very serious work. So we found that humor really breaks up a lot of that, and it helps in every aspect of life. So find humor in everything if you can.
Is that your parting thought? Or would you like to add a parting thought?
Well, in addition to that, it's like, so find humor in everything that you can, and don't stress yourself out if you don't know it, and just do it. That's it.
That's how you've got all this to talk about today. You finally just decided to build the plane while you fly it.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm so glad. It's been really fun to have you on the show. And while you're on the show, I want to thank you right here for all you've done to help me launch all of this, because I couldn't have any of this without you. I didn't even know what a podcast was.
I remember, but it's been a fun journey.
It has been a fun journey. And I hope that you'll reach out and connect with Mario, MarioRosales.com, and let him know what you think of his projects, and reach out and connect with him because he's got some good stuff to offer. And be sure and remember him for your gift ideas too this holiday season. And let us know what you thought of today's show and of the show in general. We'd love to hear from you. JourneyOfPossibilities.com. You can connect with us about the podcast. And at JourneyOfPossibilities.com/support, you can show us a little financial love too. No amount is too small. We would love to know that this show is making a difference for you in your life, and we'd like to be able to keep bringing it to you. So we appreciate your contributions. If you can't do that today, we get it. At least show some support by liking the show on whatever platform you listen, so that others will find it too. And we will see you next time on Exploring Possibilities.